ready, then we can start the meeting, or anyone
Sure.
have an agenda? Thank you.
I could use one.
Yeah, I printed one out at home, thank you. Good. All right, so we'll call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. And public comment, nobody's making public comment. Business items, finance, action items. Mr. Oberst.
Good morning. Madam Chairman and the rest of the Finance Committee. Yeah, the first item there is a proposed cell tower lease on the roof of Burton Middle School, and I'll let Ken talk about that, or any questions you may have on that. It's included in your materials, certainly.
We were approached by, it's New Singular Wireless, but it's AT&T, about placing a cell tower on the roof of Burton. We've gone far enough that they are comfortable that it would work on the roof of Burton structurally. They've done a structural analysis, and there will be follow-up before things are completed. What's before you is a lease agreement that would net the district $26,400 a year. This is more than the other two cell towers that we currently have. It would also be part of, it would have to pass all the city approvals to go forward. And it would be screened. There is screening included so that it's not visible from the street, blend into the building. It is as the others were, it's a 5-year lease with 4 renewals. So every 5 years, there's an automatic position for the board to decide to continue or not. And it does include a 3.5% increase annually.
Anyone have any?
Yeah,
comments?
my only minor question is who did the negotiation for us?
Barnum,
Barnum.
it started out very low. My first response was no thanks.
And I assume that whoever is doing this at Farnham has a sense of the industry and what other people's leases and what other entities are getting. So, I mean, it sounds like we hired somebody who knows what they're doing, and we got a good market rate here. Is that, you're confident about that?
Yes, the gentleman at Varnum is John Pestle. He's considered a national expert in cell towers. He actually gives national webinars on how owners should deal with cell tower companies.
Interesting.
He knows the industry inside and out.
Right. I mean, the only concern you ever have in these kinds of situations or billboard situations is you've got, unequal bargaining positions, and you've got an unsophisticated leaser, but that's not what we are, and that's not what we did. As long as we were as smart as the cell tower people, we're not going to take advantage of. So, I mean, really, it's a question of public trust, right? We're just making sure we maximize dollars, because after all, this all flows through to the kids. And as long as I'm confident that you did your due diligence, so it sounds good to me.
Question on, how many cell towers do we have actually residing on buildings, school buildings? Do we have any others?
We don't have any others. The other two are ground-based towers, one at West Leonard and one at Sherwood.
Okay. And as I was reading, I forget what it was called, the RMS emissions or whatever, would be those within the standards of the federal regulations. Are you aware of concerns related to contamination or I guess long-term effects on people? There's been quite a national movement to zero in on some of the effects of Wi-Fi frequencies on human beings. Is that something that we should take into consideration at all?
That was studied before the first two cell towers went in, and it was reviewed again. A number of years ago, we had a proposal to place one on the chimney at Riverside that never came to fruition. But we revisited at that point that there was information that these were safe and they would operate within the federal guidelines.
And actually, if I could jump in there,
Please.
Dr. Flores, I agree that's something we always ought to think about. I think properly, however, it's past our pay grade, which is to say, I know the feds are worried about this, and they should be worried about this. As a matter of fact, I drove just the other day, I was looking at commercial fence, and it said, don't go past this because there's a cell tower on the other side, and I thought, okay. But the fact is, they were citing some federal regulation and proximity to something that was setting off juice at a certain level, so, and the fact that they were citing a federal regulation means I'm sure all these cell phone towers have to comply with the feds. Now, the feds may be wrong, they were wrong on the cigarettes, they've been, we figured out that alcohol is bad for pregnant women, life marches on, and we figure out all kinds of hazards out in the community, but I don't think it's our job to become an expert on that. I think we just gotta trust the federal government at some point. That's kind of where I am on that, but I agree, I mean, it's something that's worth considering, especially when we're sitting here with a sustainability, item on our agenda. It's certainly worth thinking. I don't know if anyone else thinks we ought to, I mean, I don't know if anybody else knows about this or thinks.
Electromagnetic radiation, and then also, there's always the concern of, or even how much is impacting your sperm count by having your phone in your pocket.
I've got enough kids.
So.
And your internal organs.
I didn't know
Yours,
that.
once, excuse me, I didn't mean to. And so, or someone's ovaries in terms of what you're doing. And so I think it's a very legitimate question that we need to be continually aware of. And I'm hoping that, yes, our sustainability officer, if there was something we need to be alarmed about, and even, certainly the feds aren't going to be the leaders in something like this, but we do need to make sure we're
Well,
protecting
actually,
children and the community. Yeah.
If our sustainability director wants to chime in here, do you have any input on this?
Not this time. This is something that a lot of other schools have entered into.
Mhm.
These agreements as well, and I know that they've done some research into it. I have a network of other sustainability directors that I speak with. And the last that I'd seen, they had done their due diligence and decided that the science just didn't really weigh out against it yet. But I'm always, we should always continually keep revisiting that to make sure as that evolves, we learn more, we have more studies and things like that. So I'd be happy to check into that and just get a sense of what the latest
Yes.
census is from the scientific community and what the best practices are from other schools and how they look at that. So
And frankly, for every legit science concern that's out there, like, global warming is real, folks at home, there's also junk science, like when we tried to get wind power for the city, that was largely killed by a group who claimed that the low energy vibrations was going to sterilize frogs in the neighborhood or something. It was just bizarre theory. But, you could find it on the internet. Thanks.
Exactly. So you need a.
Who would think these meetings would be dull?
Wealth of
This is
information.
what happens when I show up early.
It was a little bit more dull last year, I guess, right?
It's usually such a dry meeting.
The,
You
so we
getting all
need a
this,
motion,
Monica?
motion to approve the lease agreement?
Motion to recommend for full board approval.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, next item on the agenda is the ISD budget
Ken
resolution.
ISD budget, you have that budget, part of your materials. Annually, the ISD is required by law to have all the local school districts approve only their general budget. They have three main funds: general, special ed, which, as you know, is a big fund for us, and the career technical education. Our board, each local board, is only required to approve the general fund budget. We got this information last week. I've looked at it as I did last year, my first year. It's pretty generic in terms of year to year and the operation of the ISD. So my recommendation would be for this committee to recommend to the full board their approval of the ISD general fund budget for fiscal year 15-16.
Sounds good. Could we pass it to the board in full?
Great, no discussion, all right, excellent. Support, excellent. All in favor? Same sign, passes, and now we're on to purchases.
The purchasing agenda also is part of your materials, and we do have Cheryl here. purchasing director, so certainly answer any questions that you may have on anything on that agenda, but would also recommend this move forward to the board for their approval at the next meeting.
Any questions?
I'm not sure if that was the page that includes, my connection.
Right, sometimes
Okay,
that,
great.
yeah, so
Yeah.
feel free to just, it's easier to look.
I had a question related to advertisement. I noticed that advertisement jumped up some 47,000 or so, which kind of doubled the budget when you look at item 6 and item 1, I believe. Just wondering, at this late stage in the year, why we're doubling the budget on advertising. What's the rationale behind that?
Yeah, let me address that particular issue. Back prior to your time, Dr. Flores, the board in a work session, I believe back in October, received a presentation from John Hemholt and recommended a significant increase overall marketing budget for this year. A lot of grassroots effort on our part, and this is all part of our recruitment retention and build enrollment campaign. And the board at that point gave permission to increase that full budget. And this is just a piece of it. So this contract with Ms. Tompkins is, we've been using her for, I think, the past year and a half for various things. This is just an increase. It's within the overall budget of marketing and communications. Just with her specifically, what John had engaged to do initially, that scope has expanded. So we're just asking to increase the amounts that owe her for some additional work. But it is within the overall communication. And I didn't bring it with me, but John laid out some, 5 or 6 major areas of expenditures. This is just within that particular budget, so.
So you're saying this has already been approved prior to my?
The overall budget was approved. The specifics, again, this is a specific, still needs this committee and the board's approval on individual items above about $24,000. But, so it's within the particular budget already approved by the board. This is just this individual, and when we initially engaged her, we had asked for a certain dollar amount, and we've expanded that scope of her services since that point, which is what we're asking for now, additional amounts paid to her according to board policy. So, but it's still within the overall communications marketing budget. Okay.
Anything else? Motion to approve agenda, go to the full board.
Yep, so move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes, and now we're to reports and updates.
First item there, item 1 is the March financial report, the financial dashboard, summary sheet there, kind of a quick look at the general operating fund through March of 2015, so that's 3/4 of the way through the year. Again, we're tracking according to what we would expect. No major differences, either from what we expected to be budget-wise or on a year-to-year basis. Our increase in expenditures, as we talked about before this committee, primarily track with our personnel costs because of the raises that we gave to district-wide employees last fall and the associated benefit, primarily retirement piece of that goes up as salaries go up. Everything else is tracking according to schedule. I believe we'll have at the May Finance Committee meeting a budget amendment, Rhonda, likely, or thereabouts. Yeah. And to get us in place for as we finish the year here, but as of right now, things are tracking according to schedule. Questions, comments?
Anyone? No? All right.
Item 2 is warm, safe, and dry, and Ken can address that.
We've begun 3 projects so far. The ramps out front, if you came in the front door, you'd have seen the fencing, and they've started work on fully rebuilding those ramps. What that includes is repairing the walls, repairing the deck, and then new railings. The railings are failing and the attachments are failing. You can't reattach them without reconstructing. We've also started Colville asbestos abatement in the gym area, and the large one that we started is the Union Pool air handling unit. So that pool is down till August while we do that work. We needed to get a head start on that. The other project that will start in May is the GRPS University roof. We are bidding we have a number ready to go as soon as school starts, and the remainder of the Warm, Safe, and Dry will be bid Thursday, April 30th. And those will all be set to go as soon as school, after we bring them to the board through the process. But the plan is to go as soon as school's out.
School's out, yep. Any questions for Mr. Comparens or Mr. Oberst?
Trust.
This report, the Ed Trust, I actually couldn't locate it in the packet. I got an email, and so I just thought I would bring it up, and it's at GRPS University, this Ed Trust, and they're going to have a report. So I didn't know if this was in conjunction with GRPS. There's an invitation. I don't know if everyone else received it from Ed Trust Midwest. Are you familiar with this group? So I got to know Ed Trust when I was at an MASB meeting 3 years ago. Katie Haycock, who's the president, did a presentation about how Holland was moving achievement and closing the achievement gap with some of their programs. And she had comprehensive data about all of Michigan, all nationally, internationally, really impressive. And then the following year, Dr. Falb, Miss Evans, and Miss Clayton Triggs, we went to the national meeting of Ed Trust. Ed Trust, their sort of mission statement or something, fierce advocates for high achievement of all students, particularly those of color and living in poverty. And they just, all they show and feature are people who have moved kids along, achievement. So it's a pretty neat thing that they do. And I got an invitation in my inbox, and I wasn't sure if you guys did. April 30th at 11:30, they're talking about charter schools, and that we've done actually a good job with the charters that we authorize, but they do a nice comprehensive evaluation, and it's at GRPS University, so I thought at some level we must know about this, but I thought I would share it.
Dr. Randalls and members of the board, I apologize. I didn't bring anything from Ed Trust because I was trying to make the connection with Ed Trust and the Finance Committee. So I didn't have anything, but we are partnering
it was
with.
a time thing.
Okay.
That it was April 30th, and I think, it's a Finance Committee thing because all our dollars go into achievement.
Got it. Okay.
So-
Okay, so I didn't bring anything for the board, but we are partnering with Ed Trust. And actually, they're working with stocking. We're looking at student achievement. And we have been working with them for about the past 6 months, looking at what happened in Godwin Public Schools. They've done quite a bit around student achievement. And so they will be in town. And we will have a staff person to work more closely with Ed Trust, but we wanted to start with one school, and so we've selected a Stocking School to look at some of the things they're doing. But I can give you information on it.
Speaking of what can be done with minority groups to improve their academic achievement and graduation rate, I saw an interesting post. I think that Roberto Torres had gone over to Godfrey Lee and visited, and they are quoted as having 93% graduation rate among Hispanics. Now, I don't know how true that is or whether or not we've done any kind of a surrounding district analysis of their graduation rates, but it might be interesting to do a listening tour out in the suburbs and see what, and adjoining districts to see what they're doing to increase achievement rate if in fact they're endearing such successes. Seems like we would want to follow in that footstep.
Actually, I just, the last Thursday and Friday, I was with superintendents around the county and the superintendent from Godfrey and Godwin. They were both there, all, actually 21 of us. One of the things that we have in Grand Rapids, Dr. Flores, and I'm sure you're aware of this, is our students are required to take 12 additional classes than many of the districts around Kent County, and that does affect your graduation rate. And so we are learning from other superintendents, but we also know that we have, we require our students to take more classes than some of the other districts. And so we're visiting that right now to find out, beyond the Michigan standards, what courses are we requiring our children to take? And is there a better way for us to serve our students? So we are learning from other districts. We have our principals at the table with those principals from other districts, but as superintendents, we do tend to share information.
Thank you. And, following up on your comments, Madam Superintendent, I think that I've said this before, and I know it's something on your mind. At the end of the day, in the world we're in now, graduating from high school can't be the end of the road.
That's right.
So if we pat kids on the head and build a system that allows us to say that they all graduated, but then none of them can make it through Grand Valley,
That's right.
we haven't really done anybody any favors.
Absolutely.
To be productive and successful, and that's, I think, probably why you called out one of your last initiatives, grade school to grad school. You can't just get out of high school
That's
and
right.
expect that that's the end of your educational experience. And certainly, we want to have standards that make what we do preparation for higher education, and not for going out and working in working at a factory making minimum wage.
There were several of the superintendents, actually 3 of them, that reported on the experiences the students are having in their district beyond high school, while they're in high school. So one is the middle college, and Rockford is doing a great program with the college professors coming and teaching actually in their school, kids getting additional college. And, we've increased our dual enrollment here in the district by quite a bit, but really trying to learn from other superintendents to see what are those best practices and how do we bring those to the district. And so you'll hear more about the opportunities that our kids can have to get college credit, additional college credit, while they're in high school.
Great, excellent. Sorry, one other item that came in my inbox. Early warning package passes House in regard to House Bill 4325. So I thought I would just share that. That's always on the radar. The budgets are going through the committees in the state and House. And finally, Proposal 1 vote is coming up soon, right? May 5. Let's see, anything else? Policy action items, I believe we don't have anything. We have a report for a sustainability update.
Morning.
Morning.
I have a couple initiatives to update you all on. First of them is our green cleaning work that we have done with our custodial staff and our purchasing staff, looking at evaluating all the cleaning products we use or have in the warehouse or out in our schools, and what that list looks like. And I don't know if I've shared this before, but when we started that process, our initial inventory reached over 65 different cleaners that were used. Some for specialty, but a lot of it was just variations of the cleaners that do the same job for daily cleaning. And so we've made on our goal to reduce the number of cleaning products used, to simplify them, so it's easier for our custodial staff to select the appropriate product, apply it properly. It's easier for inventory, for warehousing, and controlling costs and making them more predictable, as well as looking at the green aspect of all our products and what kind of impacts they have on our cleaning staff and our students as well. So we are now at this point below 10 products. We're going to keep looking because I think there are further gains to be made in that. But we will keep working over the summer to see if we can simplify and reduce that even more. It's possible we could get down to as low as 5
And of course, every product that we've been selecting, we have tested it first. We've kind of done a pilot where we've had some of our custodial staff use them in the schools for, a period of 30 days and give us feedback. Does this clean as well? Does it get the job done? We've done cost comparisons and things like that. I would expect we will see some decent cost savings from that. I don't have figures at this time, but I'll be monitoring that just so we can report on the results of this initiative, and we'll keep that, tracking that over time as well, and always constantly looking to continuously improve that process as well for our staff and our students. You're looking at, you may have heard on the news last week, I think last Friday, about Grand Rapids initiating or becoming an emerging 2030 district as part of the Architecture 2030 movement. As GRPS, we have been kind of invited to the table as part of the founding committee or steering committee to kind of comment on how that emerging district becomes established over the next year. It's with a group of folks from the city, from the Institute for Energy Innovation, West Michigan Sustainable Business Forum, a lot of major property owners, SMG, Spectrum Health, a lot of major property owners in the downtown district. Because the draft district guidelines, while they're just in draft form right now, could potentially include several GRPS properties. And so it's important for us to kind of be involved in the beginning, show our support as well, but the goal is that they have, it's all voluntary, there's nothing required, there's no mandate or penalties at all, but it is an information kind of sharing, best practice sharing with resources and possibly financial resources as well to reduce our building energy use by 2030. And the goal is to reduce building energy use as a district as a whole 50% as compared to the 2003 baseline that we will use. So as part of this, we'll be benchmarking all of our buildings as well, just to see how we compare nationally to what those standards are. So it'll be, I think, an exciting process. Definitely a great partnership and something that we can get a lot of good resources from our buildings in that area. And then the last thing I'd like to update you all on is the sustainability planning process or information gathering process that I've been working on in the district. We held a kickoff meeting last week with a lot of administrators and staff just to introduce the concept of sustainability. I try to share that and meet with them as often as I can and communicate what the work I do is and why. But this was a great opportunity for us to all come together and talk about what whole district sustainability looks like, what best practices are, and how it impacts an entire district. And really get us all on the same page so that we can start speaking the same language about what district sustainability looks like. It also laid the groundwork for future requests from me to them for information as I'm gathering data, because I'm trying to benchmark a lot of our resource use and capture best practices across the district as well. So that was a great way to communicate with a lot of staff and administrators at once.
Great.
Anyone have any questions or?
No, I think it's really interesting.
This 2030 program, nobody had any questions? My children are at City, and they heard the chief architect, and he is an architect of this 2030 program, and all you hear is grim and gloom about climate change, et cetera, and it's not a very optimistic time to be a student going off to college. And they actually felt like his message was phenomenal. So not only do computers now, the chips are getting faster in a 9 to 18 month cycle, but buildings are becoming more efficient, and it's on every architect's radar in terms of energy efficiency, moving to zero energy use. That's just the trend. This isn't just some crunchy granola concept, but this is leading edge concepts that are being, this is just SOP. And so they were super thrilled to actually hear him speak, so that was very, very awesome. So this 2030 isn't just something, I think, that is pie in the sky, but maybe, hopefully an achievable goal. And I'm not saying that for the district, but I mean in terms of the city.
Right.
So that's really, really great. Anything else? Thank you very much for coming. I guess meeting's adjourned. Oh, May 18, third Monday of the month, our meeting, not the fourth Monday, because that's Memorial Day. May 18. Just keep everyone.
Are we meeting tonight?
No meeting.
Sort of pronounced, so it's not tonight, is it?
On my agenda.
June or something? You threw in an extra work session, remember? Is that what- Remember? At our last meeting, you said something like that.